Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast. It is yet another attempt to start this podcast. We are patient Arthur Sosins from Latvia that is staying up late and he cannot make much noise, but I think he can greet us. Hello, Arthur. How are you doing?
Yeah, hello. I'm actually getting quite amused about all these attempts.
Yeah.
Becoming interesting.
Yes, this is like the third time trying to start this podcast because something dropped, and then because I think I put it in the wrong order. So this is episode 67, and let's get to the topics. We have several interesting topics. First, let's give an overview of the topics, and
Can you just make me a presenter so it
Yes.
does not center me?
You just need to click on the
Like this.
your own icon. I mean your own webcam screen that appears at the bottom, but they already did that, so it's fixed on you for now. Well, we are going to start precisely talking about the latest version of a V8 JavaScript engine, which is implementing Akma Script 6, 7, and beyond. So we'll talk about its features. We already talked about Akma Script 6, but we'll go over these features like modules and the sync and the wait. Then we are going to also mention again what I just said. The sync and wait functions are finally implemented in the latest Chrome. Then we will talk about the WebAssembly, which is an assembly language that is portable and will work in different browsers. It will be used to compile JavaScript and make it run faster. Then we will talk about new parallel primitives that basically will allow to run multiple workers on a browser, so you can run different tasks in the background of, in the case of the user computer. Then we'll talk about a library named Jump.js, which implements smooth scrolling in the browser with the vanilla JavaScript, so it will not use any jQuery or any other libraries. Then we'll talk about TalkBot, which is a script that automates the generation of table of contents from H1, H2, H3 headers. I mean text that is in those headers. Then we'll talk about a library, about the topic that we mentioned before, which is predicting the user actions by clicking on, by monitoring the actions and anticipating what the user will probably do next. So you can actually make the interactions with the browser look faster for the user. Then we finally talk about is it a package? Is it a framework called Electron? I'm not sure. It's basically meant to build desktop applications. So these are the topics that we'll cover in this Hangout. So let's move on to the first topic. Akma Script 6, Akma Script 7, they have new features, as we've been mentioning for a long time, but they are finally being implemented in
V8.
The V8 engine, which is the engine that is behind the Chrome browser, and as well Node.js. The main features that I'll probably think that are more important are the modules that we mentioned in the previous podcast, that well, basically Node.js already implemented modules, but now that there will be tags for defining modules. I'm not sure how this works in practice. Arthur, these modules are loaded on demand, or is it just a way to define the modules?
Honestly, I don't remember. We already commented on it so many times, and some of it has actually changed. But it was more of a scoping of a code or a library. I think there were scenarios where you could load, you can have multiple modules in one file, for example, and stuff like that. As I said, we already commented in previous podcasts about similar things. But the main point is actually it's already available for the V8. I think there was a list of the browsers. I just can't find now.
Yeah.
Which one were those?
You mean the browsers that implement V8?
Yeah, the latest version. I mean that you could already try it on.
Oh, I see.
Because I don't probably in Chrome Canary in Chromium M52. So probably it's not the latest release yet, but probably latest development browsers. But if you really want, you can try them out. And yeah, it's actually interesting to see how V8 is following the specs and what is their procedure to get to it and implement the features. It's also described in this article.
Yeah, this is interesting. Personally, I like the sync and await, which is another thing that is already implemented. There is just some news that already in June that is implemented, actually late May. But let me actually I'm able to share my screen. I just realized,
Nice.
except that it is all now in it is all now in Firefox, not Chrome.
It's okay.
And but you can see it.
Yep.
Okay, just increase the font. But regarding this article, that's basically it. What I thought it was interesting was a comment. Let me just open it in a new tab. It is the sync and await function that hopefully will get us rid with the callback hell. Although there is people that do not quite like some consequences of using async and await, because once you start an async and await function, you need to wait for it to return to resume. So you cannot stop it.
Yep.
And anyway, personally, I think it is a good idea. I wonder if it is something that you are expecting to.
Well, yes and no. There are many cases where it could be useful, but also in all those cases you could live without it and use it the old-fashioned way. So I'm not eager to try out new features and try and use
because you
them.
already have your problems to deal with the current versions.
Yep, something like that.
But okay, so let's move on to the next topic. I will try to share the screen here again, if it works. Okay, and now we are talking about WebAssembly. So basically, WebAssembly is an assembly language that we will be able to use to actually. I think the idea is to run JavaScript even faster.
Yes, and portable.
Yes, and it is also an assembly language that is portable, so it will work the same in different browsers. It's not like assembly languages that are specific to a certain CPU.
So I just tried the demo in my browser and shows that it's not enabled because you need Chrome Canary, as we determined the latest, or Firefox Nightly, or preview of Microsoft Edge, so or Safari.
Yeah, so this article actually it is from April 28th. So I don't know if it is something. You say Canary, so it's not the unstable. It's even before the unstable.
Oh, I see. Yes, so I can't play it in WebAssembly, but I can play it in default Awesome.js that we already have known.
Yes, we talk about Awesome.js and a lot in the past, and
we all know how you think it's awesome. It is awesome.
It's awesome that you should pronounce it. I don't know. I think it's too pretentious. Anyway, I think that this is interesting, but let me move on to the next topic, which is about new parallel primitives. Let me share the screen here. New parallel primitives. Okay, I think it is not on. New parallel primitives for implementing code that will run several tasks on the browser in parallel, and taking advantage of multiple cores and things like that. So I understand that now it's possible to run multiple workers, right?
Yes, and as this article describes, there are also an interesting thing as shared memory.
Yes, that's the main way to for workers to communicate. So I think they can post messages to each other, right?
Yes, and it would not work because you need to enable it in configuration.
Well,
I had the same problem.
Oh, shared memory is an option that it needs to be enabled, at least in Firefox.
Yep.
That's what is appearing with me. So if I don't not enable it, I'll probably will not see this. Anyway, I think this is interesting for those that want to take the most about from the user browser. So let's move on to the next topic, which is to implement smooth scrolling in vanilla JavaScript. This means that you can, with just a few lines of code, you can implement smooth scrolling with this library, Jump.js, which does not use any frameworks, no jQuery, no anything, just regular JavaScript that should work in all modern browsers by these days. Personally, I like these things because it's one less dependency to load the jQuery or some other library. Yeah. I don't know if you have the same opinion, if you like these things too.
Yeah, I usually, well, for work, if our jQuery is already included, I would rather use jQuery plugin as it would reduce the amount of code. But for work when you do not use jQuery, so it's better used to vanilla libraries.
Yeah, I think if we can reduce the dependencies, great. So personally, I think this is something that we should promote as a good thing. So moving on to the next topic, actually it is a simple one. Let me share the screen here. It's a small library called TalkBoat that does something simple, but I keep doing it manually lots of times. When I have articles that I have sections that are separated with headers, H1, H2, H3, I always, especially when the articles are long, I always try to add I would say a table of contents, which is basically based on those
Headers.
yes, the text that is in the H1, H2, and H3 that is in the document. So if you have something that does this automatically, it's nice. Although,
So should we expect you adding this to the articles?
yes and no. The idea is good, which is the idea. But on the other hand, the headers will be placed there with JavaScript, so they will not be indexed by search engines. Maybe modern search engines will do it. So I always try to depend less on JavaScript if it is possible to do it without. But okay, that's my opinion. I don't know what you think. Well, you don't write much articles, right?
Yeah. Well, probably Google would not have any problem with that. It can execute JavaScript
nowadays, because it's replicated, it's duplicated. So headers that are duplicating the text, probably it won't make a difference for Google. The only people that may notice are those that for some reason disable JavaScript. I don't know if many people do it, but we know there are always people like that. Anyway, since it is duplicated, probably not a big deal to miss it. The next topic that we're going to talk about is about another library, something that we mentioned before, which is to predict the user input based on the mouse position. So if the user is probably near a button, the action that will happen when the user clicks the button can already be anticipated. So this Trail.js library, I think that's the purpose of its use. I don't know. Arthur, I think there is an example because this is just documentation.
I'm showing it.
Yeah, let me. I was not looking at your screen. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can do something like that, but basically I chose how these circles changes depending on how far or close you are to them. And here is an example of when you move towards this button that the notification appears. But they predict that you're going to click this if you're moving this, and then provide some information and stuff like that.
Yes, this is nice. The idea of this predicting to predict the user input, it's to make the user interface look faster. It's true that maybe when the user is getting close to a button, he does not necessarily click it, but if your browser is not doing anything on the background and the action is not so heavy, it could be nice. Okay. So finally, we have an article about something that I was not aware, but I've heard about. Now I know that is being implemented with Electron. I'm not sure if Electron is a library or is it an application, but the idea is to use JavaScript to create desktop applications. So this article here talks about Electron, And it mentions a lot of applications that we know that exist and use Electron, like the Slack, and also Inbox, which is a mail client, Brave, which is an environment created by Brendan Hayek to build a new web browser. I think he was building it to try new JavaScript features that is testing. And this is nice because it is open to everyone. Arthur, did you know about this Electron
No, not
application?
specifically, but basically, if you want to develop desktop apps and you are a web developer, then this kind of frameworks are way to go. As article mentioned previously, there were others like Accelerator, which moved to mobile only and stuff like that. But this one, as I see, uh, if we can see the stack, then it's using Node.js under the hood and HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for the UI part, and it's packed with Chromium, so it's already with its own browser to display. And so all you need to do is write the code, and all the packaging should be handled by the Electron.
So Chromium is shipped with the applications that use Electron, or it's just a small core of the code?
I think it's used as a browser window to display the desktop app. I don't know if it's shipped already or done in Tower or what exactly. Did not try it out, but basically it's to present your user interface.
Yes.
So it does not seem like you open it in a browser, but it's some kind of
So
customized.
anyway, this is a project by GitHub itself, and they wanted to like have a probably an offline client that they could use to implement whatever they want. I'm not sure what is their purposes. And this article also mentioned other alternatives that are more or less based on JavaScript, like Adobe Air, App Accelerator, that later focused on mobile development, and also Node WebKit. I think we mentioned Node WebKit before, right?
I think so. It was some kind of hybrid that with Node.js modules and code and can use a DOM API or something like that. So
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting project. Now we are going to comment on the Innovation Award nominees and winners, starting precisely from those of JS class. Let me share the screen here. And we are going to comment on the nominees of March 2016. There were only two, and in more recent months there were more. So it is for now. Let's just comment on this. Arthur, which one would you like to comment?
let me comment on. Let's share the screen first. So the package I wanted to comment on is jQuery freeze table, column, and rows. It's developed by Agustin Rios Reyes from Mexico, and well, it can basically freeze rows or columns of specific table. I think many of you would be familiar with the functionality in like an Excel spreadsheet where you can freeze the row. So when you scroll it horizontally, the row, first row always stays there, or a column. And I think there were also screenshots showing that. So as you see, both of them are frozen, and when you scroll to the left to the right, they will still remain here, and it's all in the HTML tables.
Yeah, this is interesting. I can understand how you. Well, I'm not sure if I understand. They can freeze the columns. Say they appear in the same position. And I'm not sure what is the trick. Could it be like changing the making it two tables, or it's some other?
Maybe, actually, maybe we can try to see.
Unfortunately, there is no demo that we could take a look easily.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but possibly either there are two tables or simply creating something that looks similarly to the table but absolutely positioned above it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a cool effect. I've never seen something that could freeze either rows or on columns. Uh,
Yeah.
but okay. Um,
So, and Augustine got one ebook of choice by Pact for this package.
Okay, so let's move on. I'm going also to comment on another package. This one is a bit different than usual because it's a Chrome extension. Let me share the screen here. Actually, I was already sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I was looking at the wrong window. Anyway, the idea here is that uh, what this extension allows is once you access a page, it can perform certain automatic extension, mean actions. For instance, if you go to a certain page and want to automatically click on the button that says that you accept cookies, like it is required in Europe, you can do that. Can program the extension to do that for you. So we don't. If you want to reload the page, you don't have to do that all the time. And this is a very interesting extension uh, developed by Anders Stoff that so far has been sending very interesting extensions, not just this one, apart from other packages. And
So you want to say it's not the first Chrome extension? There are no more?
yes, there are more. Now I wonder if he published before or after, but I think he published already an extension that handles webcams.
No, it's in next month. We'll comment it on next month.
Okay. I was not looking there. Anyway, for this, Andres picked downloaded book from O'Reilly, and so let's move on and take a look at how are the rankings for the Innovation Award winners of 2016. So far, Anders Toth is the leader with 3 packages and 12 points, followed by Dantini Francois from France with 3 packages and 11 points. Then there is Juan Jose from Spain with 1 package and 6 points. Evaldo Zmoniak from Brazil with 1 package and 5 points. Then there is Dan Tan from France and Stefan Chapman with.
Why there was a pause on the Brazil? Did you not recognize the flag?
Sorry?
There was a pause before the Brazil.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was pronouncing this name right, because it is not usual. This is probably could be a name from somebody from Latvia. Zimon.
No, definitely not. More like Polish maybe or Czech.
Yeah, maybe, because there is people in Brazil from all around the world. At least in the past, there was many immigrants coming from all countries. And as I was saying, Dan Tan and Stefan Chapman are tied with 1 package and 3 points. Pravin Sonawani from India with 1 package and 2 points. Then there is Agustin Rios Reis, Faradur Rahim, and Mark Rolich tied with 1 package and 1 point. Now, for countries, things are starting to getting changed. It's no longer that same order have the same winners because we have multiple people from different countries. So France for now is ahead with 4 packages and 14 points. Hungary with 3 packages and 12 points follows in second place. Spain 1 package and 6 points. Brazil 1 package and 5 points. Australia 1 package and 3 points. India with 1 package and 2 points. Armenia 1 package and 1 point. Mexico with 1 package and 1 point. And Bangladesh with 1 package and 1 point. Okay, with this, we practically ended the Late in JavaScript podcast of this month. I would like to thank you, Arthurs, for staying up this late.
Finally, in third attempt, we ended it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank goodness. Let's see if the recording is there. And sometimes it is. So thank you again. On my behalf, that is all for now. Bye.
Bye.